Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. I'm your host Mike, and joining me today we have Jenny and Will. We will be covering even a routine away win at Forest Green with a clean sheet. I might mention that a couple of times, and look forward to the visit of Accrington Stanley in our special match for the Marsden with that gorgeous new shirt, which may not arrive in time for us to wear it, but it will be in time for the players to wear. Engagement is always important. Please like, follow, share, retweet, re-X, all those normal stuff. It really does help and gets people's ears onto the podcast. And don't just not share the torture. Let everyone hear my lovely voice. And big shout out to everyone who does it always. So thank you very much. We're going to jump in. Jenny, it was just about a month ago for you. How have you been?
Yeah, okay. I've been all right. It's following the team. No, I've been all right. I looked at our form guide today in the paper, and it's not bad. It's looking good. We're not bottom. So
I was going to say that the last month has been probably the best month of the season. To be fair,
yeah, it has.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And Will. It was end of November for you, just before the cup match. How have you been?
I've been good, thanks, Mike. Been plugging away. Finally over university, so stressful, but I'm getting to do some commentary here and there. And thankfully, I was doing it for the Forest Green game, which was a win.
I was going to say, plugging away. I think you'd just done some sort of co-coms when we last spoke, and now you're doing the com-coms as well.
I know. I've fallen upwards, as the term goes. But yeah, it's all there's a few of us who dip our toes in it, and whenever someone's not available, I'll step away from covering Sutton and help commentate. I enjoy doing both, and if I'm commentating we're winning, then maybe I'll continue doing it.
Exactly. You know how this goes. Once you do something once and we win, that's it. You've got to do it forever.
Absolutely.
Right, so the club news. There was a ladies' match at Gander Green today. I think the remaining ones are all planned to be at Gander Green, so do come down. I can understand why the weather wasn't nicest, and obviously games are switched all the time, so there wasn't a huge number of people there today, but encouraging game. It's a really exciting game, to be fair. It was 1-1. Quite a lot of back and forth, but it was a really, really good game, good watch. And I think the reserve side with Emma back in goal, they won 4-0, which is nice for Emma. First game back after a long injury, and she got a clean sheet, so that's great. We're at home this week, so I haven't taken any notes of the coach travel. And as already mentioned, the Marsden shirts are available for pre-order only. I do think the hint or the suggestion is we're going to be using them for the third kit next season. So get them early. It's really nice. And the pictures, it looks nicer than the pictures. It looked nice in the pictures, but it actually looks nicer than the pictures when you see it as well. So it's wear them a lot. But let's start for the match. Jenny, we'll start with you. How do we line up? 4-4-2 now, I'm joking.
I'll tell you what, I didn't care how we lined up at the end. I mean, it's like, it was still the case of, I wouldn't know what team he's going to put out. Seriously, I mean, we all wait and see, because it's not something that he uses the same side every time, and and so it is. And I wasn't really bothered, but yeah, I'm very happy with the team he put out. Can I just quickly say it's a strange one, because when we see him, we see that like Craig Eastman is not on the team sheet. It always is a bit, Craig in midfield. But I got to say, yesterday didn't miss him at all. I didn't feel we missed him at all, and I think we've got to start building to not have him in the team, because it's not going to be many seasons, if one more season, that he carries on. And they were all, midfield defence. It was great yesterday. Didn't miss him.
Exactly. There's no Eastie even on the bench. I don't think he was.
No,
yesterday.
no.
And Amari was back on the bench, which was a slight change from previous.
Yeah.
But were you how are you feeling going into this game? I mean, Forest Green had been quite good form. We had been up and down.
Well, can I just say, obviously, living where I do, on the local news, they cover the Bristol clubs, that other club where I live, Swindon, and they cover Forest Green. And I have to say, after the midweek, they showed Forest Green, winning 2-0. And I'm like, and so going into it, after the Crew game, I honestly thought, well, I think we're probably just going to get, not hammered, but I thought, it's going to be one of those where they beat us. A bit like first game that we were back in the Football League. We were playing all right and we only got a draw. But, I wasn't particularly that confident. But then again, what team's going to turn up? That's my view. So it was not confident particularly, but didn't know. I can't know with these. I don't know for next week, We're not consistent in that. I just hope yesterday's team turn up on all the matches left.
Absolutely. And Will, how are you feeling? I mean, Steve did seem really down on Tuesday, watching his interview, and this was a cup final, which I know I said it a couple of weeks ago, but it does fill me with dread, because as Jenny knows, our record in cup finals isn't exactly the greatest in the world. But how were you sort of feeling ahead of the match with the two teams' form?
Well, a bit of a side note, I go to the University of Gloucestershire, so everyone connected to my course is obviously either Cheltenham or Forest Green, or they somehow linked to them. So when I said, I think Sutton are going to win, everyone kind of laughed. So I got great immense satisfaction, when the final result came in. But I did feel like Sutton always, since I've covered you guys, there's always something special about Sutton. They managed to make a headline out of nothing. And it was going to be the case that maybe it's prolonging the inevitable, but I just felt like you guys were going to win, whether it was a scrappy win or you completely outclassed them. But I think it was a mixture of the two. Everyone played really well, and there was a few scrappy bits. Steve Arnold had to make a few saves. There was a block on the line, but it was offside. But overall, I was always confident. But the way it finished 1-0. It's a bit, on the edge. I was on the fence for the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Well, I mean, I know Jenny took a great giggle at my little video with our momentum the other day, where the sheep comes out of the ditch and then we're like, yay, and then it just goes charging back in and we're like, ooh.
That is awesome. That was that made me laugh. I appreciated that, because I just thought, yeah, that is us. Brilliant.
That's exactly what we've been doing.
Yeah.
But early doors, Sam put in a fairly sort of aggressive challenge, and that kind of set the tone for, right, we're not here to have our roll over and let you tickle our bellies, and we're here for a game. I mean, do you think that sort of set a bit of a marker down for us early doors? Will, we'll start with you on that one.
Well, yes and no. Yes, because it's good to see a bit of passion in there, but no, because it wasn't necessary. I didn't, at first I thought it was a bad tackle, but when I watched it back again, I thought, nah, not really. It was what he did afterwards, which was unnecessary. He kind of gave, I think it was Dominic Thompson, he gave him a little tug, a little push, and the fans behind us, if anyone was listening or watching overseas, you probably hear them more than you heard myself and Tony on the mic. They were not happy whatsoever. But but it's good. I think Steve Morrison's a person who, you know, he was a hardened striker, and he's a tough guy. And I'd like to think he'd make his players play in a similar manner. Whether that's you do it in the second half or you do it at the first chance you get. So if that's what Sutton need to give them momentum and a bit of confidence, a bit of character, then I'll see that every week, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jenny, what were you thinking with that early exchange? And I know they booed him for a bit after that as well, every time he touched it.
Well, I'm pleased that Will's actually cleared that up, because most of us were the opposite end at the far end of the ground. And we didn't know. We could see them all go down in a heap, as it were. But most of us, when they were all started to boo Sam, we're like, why? What did, you know, we didn't actually know a little bit of the afters. You know, we know it's hard tackle, but when they were booing him a lot, we were like, why? You know, what's going on? So this little tug and whatever, we didn't see that, most of us, because for quite a while, every time he got the ball, they would boo him, you know, and it's like, well, what did he do? So so that's cleared that up. That's fine. But a lot of the matches we've often seen sort of not sluggish, but not in getting to the ball. You know, when we've got the ball, they're straight into us opposition. But I felt yesterday we were sort of there. We were pressing them hard. You know, we were coming in a lot, but sharper, like we have done in other matches, but not consistently. And I think I read some of the reports from their managers saying, well, you know, come on, we've had 3 games in a week. Well, we played Crewe away. Come on, guys, they were at home on Tuesday, but that doesn't excuse that. I don't know. We're known as a very hard physical team, so I don't know if the first, you know, like Sam's tackle and that, I don't know, put them off a little bit. I thought they were Forest Green were, wow. I thought they were really poor, but I felt our players, they seemed up for it. They really, it's as if the shackles came off a little bit, but Forest Green were also, I felt, very poor. I was surprised. In fact, I'd forgot that people like, what's his name? Christian Dior? No, one of them. Doidge. Yeah, Doidge, who's a player I would normally fear, thinking, oh, Doidge playing. I actually forgot he was playing. And it's like, oh, yeah, he was there. And what did he do? I just thought they were really poor, really poor. But no, we were in, you know, especially when after 4 minutes, hit the crossbar. I'm like,
that was my next thing. It seemed to be a nothing sort of ball that Josh kind of got in there, and it just suddenly dipped onto the top of the crossbar. And it's like, oh, another day. If that just another inch this way, that might have gone underneath.
Oh, we were saying that, especially that early. We went, oh no, here we go. Especially then, Charlie, when it hit the post, and we're like, here we go. This is Sutton, you know.
But with those two, Jenny, apart from the normal, oh, here we go, is Sutton, typical Sutton. Were you feeling like we've got something here? We're going for it. We're attacking. We just need put it in the back of the net, as Steve said.
It had a different feel to it. Had a sort of, having been to like Notts County, it had that sort of feel to it of, oh, you know, if we could score. I was dreading them scoring first, but they actually didn't. I wasn't worried. They didn't even look like they were. If they were putting in a cross, or they were, apart from the one that again was offside, but they didn't look anything. So I thought, come on, surely, you know, they looked up for it. And actually, I was quite confident then after those 2 misses. Not that it wasn't going to be our day. That actually, if we can score, then yeah, we can go on and do this.
Excellent. And Will, how you come? Obviously, you're watching it slightly different to us, but with the top of the crossbar being hit and the post being hit, and were you kind of thinking, uh-oh?
Well, funnily enough, again, from my angle, the benefit of being on the other side of the pitch is the Josh one and the Charlie one, so hitting the post and the bar. Both times Steve turned round and I couldn't see who it was to, but he kind of like sighed and raised his eyebrows as if to say, oh, here we go again. To someone, one of the Sutton people sat up in the upper bit of the stand. So I kind of thought, okay, it's a theme that's going to happen. We're going to get the chances because most of the games I watch are at home. But when they play at Gandon Green Lane, it's a case of, there's so many corners. How many times do we see Joe Kizzy glance ahead and go past the corner after about 5 minutes, just past the post? And there's a few chances like that. Gets to half time, 0-0, and you think, okay, well, the last thing we want to do is lose 1-0, considering we've had so many chances. But the first two chances were just kind of, I feel like they personify Sutton's season. You do all the hard work, or a nothing chance is made something out of nothing. And I think overall, it was tough to watch. And I think Tony and I kind of at half time agreed like that the Coley goal at the end of the half was very much needed. Otherwise, you feel like Forest Green would have just walked away with it because the way they play, it seems as if going off their most recent victories, they score, sit back, and really make the game really difficult to watch. And then they'll just hit you again, as they did first minute, last minute in the previous game.
Well, they did have a chance. I know you sort of said one field of flying, but they also hit the post as well. I think there was the post was hit either in for about 3 times in about a 15-20 minute spell. At that point, I was like, "Here, this is it. This is the one. Here we go. We've just been done again." But no, you mentioned Josh's goal. So we'll start with you and Will. How did you see that? How pleased were you for Josh because he's had a bit of a time recently?
Yeah, before he came, it was Harrogate he was playing for, and he was so talented, and it was kind of watched him and thought he'll be playing higher up, and then when he joined, I think many other people may have been in a similar position, but how the hell did we get hold of him? And he never really hit the ground, did he? I think that was his second goal in the league. He may have got more in other competitions. But that goal was just absolutely superb. It was good footwork. We were right behind it again. As the Charlie Laker one, I was directly behind that one. That should have gone in. How it didn't, that's a mystery. But this one was just the amount of curl on it was superb. It was just fantastic. It was a sublime goal. Probably the best one I've seen Sutton score maybe this season. Hold me against that. That's a big claim. We haven't scored many. But it was good for Josh and the team, especially. They really enjoyed it, and the bench all got up. Everyone was excited. Tony was clenched fists up in the air. He was very, very happy. Probably the happiest in the ground when that went in.
And Jenny, how was that from your angle? Josh gets a bit of stick from lots of people that's around us, but how pleased were you for him?
He does, but I thought he was excellent. I mean, he was on fire yesterday. I thought when he got the ball, he was dribbling it down the wings, and he, swapped wings with Steve Duke McKenna. But because Forest Green, you're right up against the players nearly. When you're standing there, so you get a really close view. And he was just, I don't know, he just was excellent. And it was really, I would say, I know you're not going to ask, but between like him and Sam Hart, I thought everyone in that team, they're all going to make slight mistakes at some point, but they really all put a proper shift in. But Josh was, it's like, wow, what are people complaining about? And I think Steve Morrison sort of said, he'd not brought him in, and then he suddenly did, and he'd fight in, and he, hopefully, you see, having watched them all season, hopefully this continues. It's just, we've known that we have great match. Here we go. That's turned the corner. Next match, absolutely dire, or we lose. So, I'm just waiting. Please, let's win 2 games on the trot. And hopefully, Josh can move on. I thought it was very, very good. Forest Green, they would. It didn't bother me because when Forest Green, for instance, they started going down the wings, they had no end product. And yes, if they'd have scored, it might have been a different thing, park the bus, whatever. But every time they went forward, apart from one or two occasions, they didn't seem to have an end product, which surprised so many of us in the crowd. Their shooting, their crosses were like, oh, blimey. And I said to someone as well a couple of times, if there was a neutral would watch that match and you'd said to them, which is the team, which in their colour you think are bottom of the league or relegation material, they would have said the team in green. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's not much in it anyway. There's, I think it's only 3 points now. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't.
But so we're 1-0 up. Second half, you kind of expect them to come all guns blazing, but we kind of soaked up the pressure. And in fact, we didn't do what we normally do and drop back and drop back and drop back and drop back. I know we did sort of last 5 minutes or so, but we seem to be more intent on attacking. Will, did you kind of get that feeling yesterday as you were commentating? Did you feel that we weren't doing the sit back?
Yeah, well, I think as I was entering the ground, I spoke to a few people connected with Sutton, and the idea and the feeling was, I think, that yes, there's been a lot of cliche like, oh, must win, and today's the day, or whatever happens is, after this 90 minutes, this is decided. But, Saturday felt like that, and this was it. And if we felt like that, obviously the players would. So I think they knew that one goal wasn't enough. Eventually it was. But if you sit back in that position and then they go and equalise, or they send that Ryan in this up for the last 5 minutes and he goes and bundles one in, it's just going to be such a kick in the teeth. So I think the idea was to just score as many as possible, because of course there's things like goal difference the players and the team need to consider. And 1-0 wins will help, but when it comes down to goal difference, it won't help you that much.
No, absolutely. And Jenny, what were you kind of feeling about the second half? It's Steve, strangely, kept a clean sheet this time. Didn't actually have an awful lot to do, which is funny because the last couple of games he played really, really well and didn't get to keep a clean sheet. But what were you feeling about the way we were controlling that game in that second half?
Well, again, in a way, we're not. Our consistency is inconsistency, if you like. So therefore, you never quite know what you're going to get the second half. First half, great. They put the effort in. You always expect then the team that are losing, or 1-0, that Forest Green were really going to come out and give it a go. But they did, I guess, although their manager would say they're tired. But I didn't feel they seemed a threat. We were still soaking that pressure up. I mean, I thought Omar, Swami was awesome at the back. All the defence was very, very good. Joe Kizzy had a great match as well, and I know a lot of people have gone on his back. Everyone really seemed to up their game or be on top of their game. And the second half, we always need another goal, because when it came down to the last, we were all saying there'd be probably 5 to 6 minutes because of the amount of substitutions. When 4 went up, we were more than happy, but we were in what we call Sutton, blood pressure time, because for us, we're like, please just hurry up and end it, because being us, it's like they're going to equalise with, a minute to go, and they may even get a winner on that. So we're sort of really holding our breath, but we actually didn't look like they were going to go up the other end and score. No. So it wasn't so bad, and it wasn't as worrying watching that second half, thinking that they're going to sneak a winner. I actually a draw. I didn't think they looked like they were actually going to get a goal at all. Didn't think they would at all.
Yeah, there was I can't remember what game it was now, but it was definitely a game at Gander Green Lane where we were so in control of the game, and then all of a sudden the other team broke, and I suddenly just happened to look up at the scoreboard with, how is it only 1-0? I'm sitting here full of confidence because like we've absolutely controlled this, and so that 1-0 was always a bit dodgy. Steve was a bit.
I didn't feel like that though yesterday. I really, I don't know. It was like, that again, the new dawn, please, because no, if we'd have been, if we weren't bottom and it was mid-table or it was a good match, you'd say, yeah, these are a solid, decent League Two side. We don't look like we're the side that is holding up the rest of the Football League.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a lot of people that are way, way too young to remember Nottingham Forest too good to go down, and they did because it just wasn't happening for them. But we did it. Hold on, we got the 3 points, which is one of those things. It's eking it all out. It's bunched us up again.
I know.
So we're on 30. I think Forest Green and Colchester are on 33 each, and then I think Grimsby are on 39, which again sounds quite far away, but it may not be. Does this give you, Jenny, any more hope, or do you just think we're just pushing this back a few weeks? Forest Green do have, I think I'm right in saying they've got to, in their games, I know they've got a couple of games more than us, but I think they've got to play the entire top 5 in their games. So it's not like it's impossible as it was looking a few weeks back. But did that 3 points give you any extra encouragement?
Well, I mean, I know Forest Green got Stockport at home the next match, and Stockport aren't on a good run. And I think, come on, each team has a bad run. I mean, we just have a bad season. But what do they say? The hope that kills you. I know I've got to be careful, but I had sort of mentally accepted that we'd probably go down. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the table and games in hand, we're still, if someone was a betting person or that we are. But do you know what? Something Will said, this is Sutton, and wouldn't it be an amazing story if after all this season we stayed up, because we won all but one match. We won all our matches, maybe except bar one, and we stayed up by 1 point or two. And it's not undoable. No. Everyone else has got to win their matches, and look how often they do, they don't, and so part of me, I'm thinking, oh God, if we win Saturday and all the rest lose that are next, I still think it's only between 3 of us. Maybe not, but I think maybe it's between us, Colchester. I know they've got games in hand, but us, Colchester, and Forest Green. Maybe Grimsby, but can you imagine what a story it would be if we actually did it and stayed in? But if we win Saturday, I'd say okay, we maybe, but I don't want to get my hopes up too much. No. And if they do treat them like cup finals, forget that we lose them. But if they do and they play like they played yesterday, if they play like that and still lose, you got to say they gave it their all. But I don't know. It's doing my head in. They're doing my head in.
What do you think? Looking at it, I mean, for the last few weeks, more and more people have, as Jenny said, kind of resigned themselves, accepted the fate, and then 2 victories in the last few games kind of pulled it back a little bit. Do you think Grimsby are out of it, or do you think they might get too comfortable and get dragged back in?
Well, first of all, I can side with Jenny here. I've been up and down. So at points, I've been saying to people, I think they'll stay up. I'm convinced Sutton will stay up. They will be in the Football League next season. And then I've watched some games and gone, okay, it's literally like, it's not their fault. It's just luck. Like, I know Matt was always saying rubber the green and things like this. And it's true, like the decisions, just like unlucky things with the ball, deflections, ricochets, individualistic mistakes. It's the team and the quality is there. As for Grimsby, they do look slightly too far ahead. I've got the table next to me here, like a professional. But it's what is interesting is one win, as you said, after that Forest Green game, I did look straight at the table, and it's like as if it was all like sunshine and rainbows, because 3 wins, a big, like, a 3 or 4-0 win, we then go above Forest Green on goal difference. And big score lines is possible. We've done it against Notts County. Done it before. We've scored 4 goals recently, so we can do it. But I think it is most likely between 3 teams. But then again, miracles are possible. If you look in the National League, Woking, for example, not too far away from us, in the form table, they're second, and they just I think a few of their fans probably accepted that they were going to go down. They really had no luck, and they've just Charlie Kendall, former Sutton loan, he's on fire at the minute. He's helping them, and it looks like they're safe and dry as it stands. But that's over just 5 games. So if we can stay consistent, which is something Sutton haven't managed to do, I think all bar 1 of the 6 wins this season, they've all been followed by a defeat. I think the Bradford one, we went and got a draw with Colchester, but every other time we've gone straight back to rock bottom or below 0 and been absolutely thumped. So if we win this game, I think it sounds bizarre, but I think we'll do it. I think it's more than game on. I think it's more than possible. But if we lose, I think, there's no way we can keep momentum.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because I think Accrington is something like 16th, but they've still got a fairly decent shout at playoffs, which sounds odd because for them it's 7 points to make up. But when you're winning more games and you're losing, 7 points doesn't seem such a big a gap as sort of 5 points or so when you're down there. It could become important to be 23rd. Obviously, you don't want to benefit from someone else's loss, but there's lots of problems at another club. So if that was to happen and you're 23rd, it means you could get a reprieve. I don't think I'd like it that way. I'd rather us get the points and get above the line. I did say last season that I think we were going to have a struggling season, and this was the one I thought we were going to struggle. Didn't think we struggled this bad. But we also got the first clean sheet since Boxing Day, I think it was. I don't remember who we played Boxing Day.
Wimbledon.
Oh, was it Wimbledon?
I'd actually thought you'd forgotten then. Silly me. Who are they?
So yeah, that's another good sign that things are going the right way to finally get that clean sheet. And then Josh obviously did really, really well. And it's just as both of you have said separately, it's just about getting that consistency and following it up, backing it up. As Steve said a couple of weeks ago, we just had to back up the Notts County game. We didn't. We now got to back up this game. So just a couple of sort of points from going around. I mean, we all know that it's a different management style, but to suddenly hear I know he said it last week, but there's illness in the camp. And then suddenly he sort of pointed out that there's loads of players gone down with it. It's like, you'd think that's the kind of thing we might like to be told about. But it's definitely a different style, keeps his cards very close to his chest, doesn't like sort of sharing that information, which is fair enough. I mean, for 16 years, we sort of knew the ins and outs of everything going on in the changing room, which is probably unrealistic to expect that. But the big talking point is Flaregate. So we have got an issue. I know old gits like me going on about it don't sort of help because it just adds to the atmosphere. A, it doesn't, and B, it's a criminal offence. Someone did give me not grief, that's the wrong word, but someone did pull me up on my little thing saying I hope they don't get prosecuted. But I was more thinking that they're a youngster. They've brought something they don't necessarily realise is that bad, and I don't particularly want them to have a criminal record over it. But what's your views on sort of the flares and the no pyro, no party? Not just at Sutton, lots of clubs will.
Well, I think it's all part of the hooligan culture. Will never be what it was years and years ago before my time. But I just kind of think it's unfortunate because there's young people who get into it and they think it's the bee's knees, but it's really not. And eventually they'll snap out of it. But with the flares and stuff, it's what I find bizarre is how they do get it into a game. Is the security, of course, it's not good that they're bringing it in, but how are they getting it in? Are the security not checking them well enough? And if they're that dangerous, how are they stashing them? How are they getting them in? I think that's what I'd be worried about.
I think the problem is, and a lot of people know this, is that the security and so on can't search under 16s. So it's the under 16s bringing them in, and then they're being let off. Now, I was trying to find some sort of video stuff to go, look, yes, you might think this looks great, and 99 times out of 100, it is fine. Just some clips or someone who can say this is what happened in my life. And there was a horrific video of a Rangers fan from a few years ago. I could only watch it once, and literally hit a smoke bomb. It was like, waving it around in the air, and it exploded and lost all his fingers and thumb. Literally, his whole hand just exploded. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not tweeting that out. That's absolutely no way I'm putting that. That's graphic content. I mean, you said it's the hooligan culture thing, which is all a bit, but then what happens is they all sort of stand and firm up to each other and then run off in different directions, and some poor innocent sod who's got nothing to do with it is the one that takes the brunt of it. I don't know how we're going to do it. I was surprised, Jenny, to hear that we're probably going to get fined for this, because they can clearly identify the person, and he's clearly a Sutton fan. But what's your kind of view on it? How can we...
Well, I was in the seated area, and in fact, when it was put on the pitch, the way the wind blows at Forest Green, it was all coming back into our faces. I'm lucky, I don't suffer from any breathing problems, anything, but it was unpleasant. I was sort of flapping it away. It was unpleasant. There were people around me who were trying to put something over their noses, because when they threw it on the pitch, it actually blew back towards us. And it was unpleasant. Fortunately, it went out fairly quick. With the hooliganism, we know, having gone up into the league, that we've got more fans that have joined us, and a younger lot, and that's fine. And it's probably only one or two that are spoiling it for the rest. Sutton United, we don't fight. The fans we got, they're not fighters. And they'd certainly, the first season, it was only, I think, Port Vale or Oldham match at home where a flare came onto the pitch, or it wasn't even that. And we're like, oh, blimey, a flare. But it started to be a little bit regular. It is true, because I asked one of the police who comes to our ground about the searching, and it's law that you can't search the under 16s. They said there's nothing actually you can do about that. It's actual law. Now, in a sense, although it's law, if there's nothing to hide, they only pat you down. You'd say, yeah, go on then. All the youngsters say, come on, I've not got anything, pat me down. They're not going to, especially if there's another adult there safeguarding, but they're not allowed to search them. And they obviously, when you say they're bringing them in, yeah, it might be a 15-year-old bring them in, but I feel sure there'd be peer pressure on them from the older ones. A lot of the younger ones probably don't want to bring them in, and they'd be told, oh, you're not going to get into trouble, no one's searching, go on, bring them in. And if they get in once, and everyone knows the rules, or they know the rules, how you stop it, I don't know. I believe, I'm not sure with the fines we get and the money we lose, I'm not, hand on heart, the ones that do it who don't really care, they don't care. They're hangers on. If we went down into the National League or further down, they won't be there. They're not interested. They'll go somewhere else. And it may be that they're not, they can't afford to go to Crystal Palace. They can't afford to go to Fulham. They don't want to go to Wimbledon because it's further. They're local lads. So the club gets fined. So, I can remember being 16, 15, 16. A lot of them aren't bothered. Really?
Yeah,
not all of them though. Not all of them.
No, and it's not a Sutton issue. It's a sort of thing. You see it all the time. Any football chat you're in, you'll see people talking about it. So it's definitely not a Sutton issue. It's everywhere. But it's just mad that they sell it literally on on Amazon. Other retailers are available, but it's not sold as by the way, you're going to get a football banning order if you take this into football. It's sold as football celebrations. I mean, Neil in the chat sort of made a little comment and said community service for the perpetrator to be done on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so they don't get the opportunity to go to football, because that's going to be the way. But people just need to realise, if they are caught with it on their way to a stadium, not even in the stadium, on your way to a football match, that's the offence right there and then. You don't have to set it off. You don't have to actually bring it in the stadium. If you're on your way to the stadium and they believe you're on your way to the stadium with it, they can arrest you. You can get a banning order, a club ban, and a prosecution as well. So, yeah. But then the other side is clubs, big clubs, main media need to stop using pictures of oh my God, look how amazing it looks. No, because you're just encouraging everyone.
If you watch any of the European matches, and I don't know what the rules are in Europe. I mean, Galatasaray. Oh wow! The whole stadium is just one big flare, isn't it? And that that encourages it. And,
I get that, and it's a case of why is it not legal? It's legal in this country, not this country, but it is, and that's the case. I mean, I genuinely, although I don't like the smell of it, and it does get to me, I just think, why don't you just burn a £10 note? Because that's literally what you're doing. You're buying it for a tenner and setting it on fire. Just whatever. But we're not going to solve it today. But moving on, how do we make sure we bring our momentum into this game? What do we do to win it? Obviously, we're going to look amazing in our brand new, lovely aubergine kit. But Will, what do we need to do to win against Accrington Stanley? I said it without the accent as well. Yes.
Can I say a Steve Morrison answer and say put the ball in the back of the net?
Yes.
And if not that, put the ball in the back of the net twice. No, I think we need to, of course, all the pyro stuff isn't necessary, and we don't want to see it, but we want as many fans there as possible. It does make a difference. It was brilliant to see. They had a drum there, and you do hear it at the home games, but it was really effective at the away game, and it was at Forest Green especially. So it does make a difference if the fans are there, because it can be a bit quiet sometimes at Gander Green Lane. And I think this season, obviously, the team's not playing well. You're not going to see high numbers. You're not going to see an atmosphere. It's not going to be bouncing from minute 1 to minute 90. That's a given. But we just need the fans to turn up, and then the players will do their bit for sure. That's what I'm confident in. But if there's a bit of a mellow atmosphere and it's not too vibrant, then I think the players will fall into this ditch that they're fairly comfortable with, because they've been in it a few times too many. I think 21 times to be precise, and getting defeats. So, yeah, I think support, togetherness, and belief, and that's what is needed. 3 things for a recipe of success.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very fair comment, Jenny. We've often stood there thinking it's really flat today. And we've obviously had the conversations of, well, hang on, is it the players' job to get us up, or is it our job to get them up? And it's that circle that goes around. We all need to be up for it. But how can we kind of on the pitch beat them? Don't give me put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, can I just say, on the noise, and it's always been like this, until you have more cover, the away end always sounds amazing, even if they've got 100 supporters, because you've got the echo factor. That's why we always sound better away, and even Forest Green's away area. I won't say much about that, but because it's covered, well, if you can call it that, it's the noise. So, it's great. The younger people, they're either behind the goal, our goal, and you can hear the noise there, or they're along the Collingwood roadside. Great. But where we stand on the curve, it doesn't matter how much you shout, it goes up into the air and it's lost. Absolutely. And so it's not really, that's why there's no atmosphere or scene, unless you got 5,000 people in there and they were all shouting nearly at the same
Playing well.
time.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I can feel. I always think that the players probably prefer playing away, if I can say that, because the atmosphere is better. The atmosphere is always better away from home.
Yeah.
But it's because we got covered. A lot of
We
it
got
is
no covers, exactly.
undercover.
I mean, on players, once we kind of know a little bit ahead of time, because we've got international call-ups. So we've got Stephen and Dion and Jay Williams all called up, which I think technically brings us to the threshold that we could have asked for a postponement.
I thought that,
but
I
I
don't
think
want that.
The Jay one I think would have been stretching it a little bit, because he hasn't actually played a minute for us yet, so we can't really claim that. But then Steve did allude to it a couple of interviews ago, saying because it's the game that we've designated this Marsden match, it's a big game for the club. And he did say, it's a big day for the club, so we just do what we can. And it was like, is there a little tiny bit of friction there? But Will, what do you think those three are going to mean to us?
Well, I mean, obviously I don't want to say anything bad about Jake because we haven't seen him, but what's he offered so far? So again, he hasn't played, has he? So not really a big miss there. I think the biggest one's probably Stephen Duke McKenna. If you go back to that Forest Green game, him and Josh swapping wings was the best thing that happened the whole game. It literally opened the whole game. It was like a key unlocking a door. So I think Dukey is the one to be missed. That's my answer.
Yeah, totally agree.
We do have Amari seemingly back in the fold, back from injury, whatever the reason he wasn't around. So maybe he can kind of, sounds silly to say Amari, who's the top player, fill that gap. But Jenny, sort of how big a miss do you think the three of them will be? And would you have asked for it to be called off?
No, I would. No, I mean, because we've just won, you hoping we're on a roll. No, you don't want it called off. I think is it Walsall or there is a match that has been postponed, and I assume I think it's Swindon's match. They're in free fall. Sorry, but no, I wouldn't want. If you've won a match, you want to go out and try and replicate it again. And I'm with Will. I think it would only be Steve Duke McKenna. But when he did go off and Amari came on, I thought, but Amari, he took over fairly well. I would say he took over fairly well. So if he can play his best game, then raise his game, play like that, then shouldn't be much missed, I don't think. I've got to say this. Can I tell you the highlight of the match yesterday for me, apart from the goal, was when Harry Smith was fouled, and he got the foul and he raised both his hands in the air. You must have seen it. He's like, yes, I've got a foul. It was from us, the cheer, it was as if he'd scored a goal. Oh, so that was great, because it was like, at last, I've actually, the referee is, brilliant. Sorry, I had to put that in. I thought it was excellent.
I want to add something to that as well. From the commentary, Tony and I said something on there at the time, like that's definitely a booking. Like you cannot do that, and he got away with it, which is the best part.
Yeah, but it was that. I tell you what, that was brilliant. He was. You could think that's him going, at last. Excuse me, But that's Harry, isn't it?
Oh, mind you, he got some against Crew as well. But anyway, right. So prediction time. So the prediction league hotting up. I think I said. Oh, there it is. So I think Paul pulled back a point on Andy because Paul got our goals right. But only 2 people predicted a victory. I was one of those. And only one person predicted a clean sheet. I was that person. So I'm thinking there should be some kind of like 1,000 point loyalty bonus or something. I don't know. But the things on the screen, if you want to join in, obviously, not going to win now. I think Jenny could still technically win, but that would rely on the other two not playing at all and Jenny getting every result right, which is possibly unlikely. But we are going to ask both of you, what is your prediction? So I'll start with you, Will. What's your prediction for Saturday? It's way in advance. You don't enter the game anyway, so it doesn't make any difference what you say. But go
on. I'm gonna go for another 1-0. Another 1-0.
Another 1-0.
Two of the best teams in the league at the moment. You know, Accrington Stanley, Sutton are both at the top of their game. No, I think 1-0.
Right.
And I'm hoping it'll be Amari Patrick. Get him some confidence.
Beautiful. Jenny, you do enter, so you can change this. So if you enter towards the end of the week, you can put in whatever score you want. So you can change it.
I mean, I would have said 1-0 as well, but no, confidence. I'm going to go for. I think I put that we were going to lose this time, but I'm happy if I say we're going to lose and then we win, because I'm not bothered about your league. I'm bothered about the real league. I would have said 1-0, but no, I'm going to go for a 2-0 so we don't all have to have squeaky bum time. I'm not bothered who scores, but, 2-0 that we'll win. And we start that role that everyone's going to say. And can I just say, most people, they watch the top and who's getting into the playoffs. But for a neutral fan, watch the bottom of League Two, because it's starting to get very interesting.
Well, I've written down 2-0 already, and I did 2-0 last week.
2-0.
So I'm going to stay my
2-0.
Excellent. Right. So thank you both very much. We're going to wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. As always, we appreciate the attention. Joe's eyes are rolling. Follow, like, share at Sutton Podcast on social media. Don't forget to do the subscriptions and the little thumbs up. We would love the thumbs up. And leave us any reviews if you wish. Until next time, thank you to our guests, Jenny and Will. Thank you to Lucky Star Gin. And thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next up, we have... on Sunday, we've got Joe, Mark, and Paul. Don't worry, Chalmers, not you, Paul Darby. And get those questions sent in, and take care, and we will catch up soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
United!